Hey everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh, and that is Caleb. And today, we're predicting and previewing the Minnesota-Nebraska game on Saturday night. Another night game for the Huskers. What in the world? 4 now, and it's going to be an interesting game for sure. 7-point spread, 54.5 point over under. What is going on?
Big game.
Caleb.
Big game, Josh.
It is. It really is.
Talked about in our last video about our Northwestern reaction, what happened and that win. So if you haven't seen that, go check that out. We dropped some nice tidbits breaking down the game for last week.
So much of that video is important for this week too, so definitely go check it out.
Yeah, so it was a big win for us there. 13-10, we found a way to win. A lot of injuries, a lot of people banged up, and now on to Minnesota, who's 5-0. What? Did I read this correct? Let's read Minnesota's schedule really quick. They won 28-21 to South Dakota State. Very formidable, that FCS.
I mean, hey, they're pretty respectable, Come on now.
Then we got Fresno State, 38-35 in a double OT thriller.
Hey, it was a thriller, that's for sure.
Georgia Southern, 35-32. Is that a typo in the stats, Josh? 35-32?
I can confirm. Wow.
That's ridiculous. Come on. Yep. And then Purdue, let's put an asterisk, a double asterisk actually. Poor Sindler and Rondale Moore got
on the
hurt
same play.
On the same play.
Yep.
Wizardry, and they won 38-31. They barely won.
Then a good old Illinois win. I mean, they handily
40-17.
Yeah, they handily took Illinois.
Asterisk, Josh. Peters, Illinois' quarterback, hurt again.
In the second quarter.
Adrian Martinez is hurt. I'm feeling some PJ Fleck voodoo. I knew I didn't trust this guy.
What's he doing back there behind the curtain?
Now quarterbacks are dropping like flies before his game. I do not trust this man. Him and his little weird bald head of his.
Row the boat.
Yeah, he's rowing some voodoo
boats. Nice.
Evil.
They're ranked in the coaches poll 25th or 26th in the AP poll. They really are like at least a formidable opponent. Who knows where they stand technically in the nation yet? They haven't been tested. I mean, neither was Ohio State, so we know how that goes.
Different though. They were blowing out teams, not winning by 3 to Georgia Southern.
Right, but either way, this is going to be a really important game for both teams. It feels like a must-win for Nebraska, and it's a big game for Minnesota as well. So there's a lot. There's a lot that both teams have to prove in this game, and so it really should be a fun one. I'm excited for it.
No, for sure. Both programs feel like they're headed in the right direction. Minnesota's dropping $166 million on a new football facility.
Yeah, what is up with that?
What? Are you kidding me?
They're literally trying to one-up us, bro. I hate that. It's so annoying.
It pisses me off.
Yeah, but for them, it's a waste of money, all right? For them, it's a straight
they had
up
a
waste
full
of money.
1,000 views on their YouTube channel for that, Josh.
Whoa.
They had like 10 likes. That's the official team. Like, it's the official
impressive
program.
Well, now that we rambled for 5 minutes, like Minnesota overall as a team, they've played a pretty simple schedule, but statistically, they look pretty impressive, all right? Tanner Morgan. 70.3% completion percentage on the season, 1,200 yards, over 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns, 3 picks. Their receivers have had very nice years overall. Their offense overall has been really productive against poor teams, obviously. You can't go into the game underestimating them,
for sure. So, Tanner Morgan has been absolutely crushing it. He actually leads in offensive efficiency in the Big Ten. He also leads with passing yards per attempt, with 11.4, and in the adjusted stat too. So that's ahead of Justin Fields, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, I mean, how this offense works though, you're gonna see like through the film, is they really try to establish the run game, and then they play heavy play action, and they take advantage of those shots downfield, that's why his yards per attempt ratio is so high. They take advantage of the run game. I mean, if you watch like the Illinois game, the Purdue game, those linebackers were being sucked in all game long. They use the play action very effectively. Their RPOs on the inside are real nice. So it's like Minnesota's offense, though not tested by any solid defenses so far this year, has been very effective. You just can't underestimate that.
For sure. I mean, we saw it last week. Josh and I talked about it. The read options by QBs had kind of really been dangerous for Nebraska when it's a middle-of-the-road quarterback. Justin Fields, he's so glaring, you have to prepare for him. But for those ones where it's just a little bit less, you can really get burned. And I
mean, you even saw it last week, man, against Northwestern.
Exactly.
I mean, Aiden Smith was eating up yards on us,
So we're gonna have
not a great sign.
We're gonna have to really pay attention to that this week. And it's really on our linebackers to be really disciplined and to play a good defensive game. When it's this RPO, I think we'll have a real chance. We have some guys in the secondary able to make plays. But Tyler Johnson, one of their wide receivers, actually leads the Big Ten in receiving touchdowns with 5 this year. He's tall. He's pretty fast. And again, that, like Josh said, that defense is going to suck you in. It's going to bait you. And you'll just see, if you guys go back and watch, those linebackers and those corners are just going to be sucked in to run. And then it's just going to leave wide open holes for Minnesota. We were watching Illinois, especially last week. They were getting burned as they were running zones. And they were getting absolutely torched in that second half. It's a lot about coaching this week and about coaching schemes. So it's really on Shenander to really be able to do a good job this week to beat Minnesota.
They do have a nice receiving duo. Alongside Tyler Johnson is Rashad Bateman, and he's been real nice this year as well. I mean, he has over 530 yards receiving this year, and he tore up Purdue like for 177 yards. And as a duo, they've been real nice. Again, they take the shots downfield sporadically, but they've been really effective with those shots that they've taken. That's something that Nebraska's going to have to prepare for and be ready to play against this week, because they are not scared to throw the ball downfield.
Yeah, which is an exciting challenge for our guys. Lamar Jackson leads the Big Ten in pass breakups with 9 thus far.
That's cool.
And so, like, that's pretty exciting. He's actually 3 ahead of the next guy, and Dicaprio Bootle's not too far behind with 6.
It's interesting. That just shows that teams are willing to throw Lamar's way, which, I mean, you can't blame him. Based off the film of past years, yeah, he's susceptible. But this year, he's been fantastic, which is what we've been talking about a lot this year. And I think this is going to be a really fun game for Lamar Jackson and for Bootle. I think they're going to both be tested pretty heavily. And another situation, just like Northwestern, but especially Ohio State especially, they're going to have to play a lot of single coverage on the outside. So this should be another fun game for them as players, and another game where they can be tested. Another thing they run a lot of double tight end sets from the shotgun, and they really use those double tight end sets to bring in those linebackers, and then they run play action from them and take shots downfield. That happens a lot in these last few weeks. And it killed Purdue. It was pretty effective against Illinois as well. There's going to be a lot of pressure on Nebraska's linebacking core to make the right decisions. And the man-to-man coverage on the outside, again, it's going to be so important in that situation to free up the linebackers and make their job just that much easier.
And pay attention as well to the tight ends, as that has been a kind of a problem earlier in the season for us, is defending the tight ends. So just being really aware of that for guys like Mo Berry, cover pretty well is going to be really key for us. And not an easy task for sure.
Yeah, I mean, 2 aspects where their offense has been pretty susceptible is when it comes to protecting the quarterback and then resulting in fumbles. I mean, currently they're 116th in fumbles lost per game.
I feel that.
We feel that. We're 126th in fumbles lost per game.
Woo! Hey, none last week, though.
I know. That's the sad thing, is that even none last week, we're still 126th. But really, though, Tanner Morgan has been sacked 16 times this season. Purdue got to him 4 times, Georgia Southern got to him 5 times, and Fresno State got to him 4 times. So teams have had a lot of success getting to the quarterback and forcing fumbles and creating chaos in the backfield. So if our defensive line comes to play, they can have a pretty fun night if things go the right way for us. And that's going to be an area where I think Nebraska can capitalize and have a chance to make some big time plays this week. I mean, last week just alone against Illinois, there was a pick 6 because of pressure and a fumble return for a touchdown from a sack. So there's a lot of opportunity against Minnesota to make big-time plays, and so hopefully our defense comes to play. They're hungry. They know those opportunities to come, and we can get after Tanner Morgan this week.
Yeah, and speaking of fumbles, we got the guy leading the nation in forced fumbles.
Yes.
We got Cam Taylor-Britt with 4. That stat last year, we're only halfway through the season. That led the whole season last year for Big Ten for forced fumbles, and I know he's going to get more, and there's going to be real opportunity for him here.
He's had a nose for the ball this season. This has been awesome.
He loves blowing up the play, and I think he's going to have some real big chances. This is not as good as, this is also, a very susceptible offensive line in a very similar situation as us, where we're not great, but either are they, so I think we're going to be able to get to him a little bit more. Morgan is not as mobile as other quarterbacks we're going to face. While he can escape the pocket, it's not as much of a threat. It's
going to be an interesting matchup for sure. I think our defense should be able to handle it for the most part. I wouldn't be surprised if they break off a pretty big play, at least 1, maybe 2, just because this is going to happen. Yeah. Someone's going to make a mistake there.
Somebody's going to bite.
One of the linebackers is going to bite too hard, and someone's going to slip through and go for a touchdown or something like that. It's probably bound to happen, considering how our linebacking core has played this season. But if we can minimize that, maybe only it happens once, I think we should be in good shape to keep Minnesota in check for a lot of this game. Defensively for Minnesota, it's been a weird year. Some pretty bad teams have had a lot of success against them, but then debatably the best offense they played against, which is Illinois, didn't score an offensive touchdown last week. They only had 2 defensive touchdowns. They put up 17 points as a whole, 1 field goal. Again, Brandon Peters was hurt. They didn't have their starting quarterback. Regardless, Reggie Corbin really struggled to run the ball last week. As a team, they held Illinois to 3.4 yards per carry. Reggie Corbin still did average 4.9 on his own. He only had 68 yards rushing. And they played a really, really great game on the ground, which they hadn't been doing before this week. So their defense has really improved a lot week to week, and Illinois was by far the best performance their defense has put on this whole year so far. So it's going to be interesting to see how they match up against our struggling offense and potentially another backup quarterback. Obviously, we'll talk about Vedral Martinez here in a second. That's what I'm really interested to see is how their defense plays against our offense.
Their defense, again, it's allowing 27.2 points per game. That's not good by any means.
And they played bad teams.
When you're allowing against, Georgia Southern, South Dakota State to put up points on you, there's definitely going to be weakness there. And I really think Nebraska, again, we felt this way again last week against Northwestern, that we'd really be able to break out and put up a lot of points like we did against Illinois and really expose some teams, put up a lot of yards, and we really weren't able to last week, which was really frustrating. Obviously, right. JD going down, Mo not being there, did something, but we still have so many weapons.
The problem last week is that we could not seal the edge for the love of our, literally for our lives. Our receivers struggled to block on the outside. Jack Stoll was struggling to maintain the edge on the outside. Of course, our tackles generally struggle, but we just overall that last game was the worst we'd been besides against Ohio State at sealing the edge and getting the outside.
The phantom snaps came back.
Yes, and the bad snaps, of course, came out. We talked about all this in Minnesota.
Ball up, man. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Our offense has the potential to really have a fun night, but my problem is after this Northwestern game, I'm not convinced that we're going to be able to ever turn the corner as an offense and really get to where we want to be this year.
Again, our red zone too. Our red zone efficiency has been so bad, and we'll get to those points. And it's not only that our field goal is obviously a problem, missing them. But the other problem is I feel like we're not calling great plays, and our offense is executing the plays in the red zone. It's felt bad, like mistimed. Nothing feels cohesive in any of those moments. If we're not scoring on a big play, I'm genuinely concerned as a Nebraska fan.
That's the thing. We've been relying on big plays. Yeah, we've been absolutely relying on big plays this season. We're pretty garbage in red zone efficiency, and that's the thing. Minnesota's been great. They're 92% on the season so far. So that's going to be definitely a key for the game. I'm sure we'll mention that down the road here. But one area that Minnesota hasn't been necessarily great at is getting to the quarterback, getting pressure. They're 72nd in the country so far, only 2 per game. Their defensive line hasn't been dominant. Last week was the first time where it felt like they actually started controlling the line of scrimmage. Our offensive line has a chance to play a pretty good game this week, but I'm just not convinced it's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, our pass protection's been bad. Our run has shown that we have some capability to hold on the inside a little bit.
Farniok's special. He's way better in the running game than he is in the pass game.
Yeah, but we really, again, talking about sealing the edge, Stoll has been not great at all in blocking sets. Cam has had problems. Bo, Hickson, everybody's had problems on the offensive line. And I think they can be okay, but can they do enough for us to win the game? Can the snaps not go over our quarterback's head? Those are all really big questions. And, Greg Austin, as every week, has a full, probably sleepless week ahead of him trying to figure out how to make this offensive line work and everybody involved. And we need it. We need it. We need us to play with an edge, to play with a toughness. And because Minnesota, they're hungry for some wins, and we need to be able to match that this week.
So offensively for Nebraska, at this point, we don't know about Maurice Washington. We don't know about J.D. Spielman. We don't know about Adrian Martinez. Obviously, that's some pretty massive questions for Nebraska and for our offense. Our offense is completely different if Maurice and JD can't play, let alone Adrian Martinez. That's where a lot of the worry comes into this game, where we have no idea what this is going to look like yet, and we're probably not going to know until the end of the week who's actually going to be playing. We might not even know till the game actually starts, till our offense lines up out there, who's going to be out on the field for Nebraska. Let's just start off with the hottest debate, the quarterback situation. Caleb, what do you think? What should happen here?
Man,
and what's going
put me on
what
the
should
hot
happen
seat.
And what could happen? I know.
Put me on the hot seat. This is really tough. Obviously, a big factor is how hurt is Adrian Martinez? Is he 50%, 75%, 80, 90? Is he back to 100%? That's the biggest thing up, first of all. Second is Vedral. Again, there hasn't been a huge sample size. Obviously, we saw him
four drives.
Yeah. We saw him complete a couple passes. We saw him run a couple times. We've seen some pretty smart management at that end of the game there. That's not a lot. How is he going to do on throwing? Is he better? It's just stuff we can't see. We can't know. Obviously, we really know what we got from Adrian this year. We got an inconsistent passer, feeling the rush at all times. The snaps aren't there for him. So, obviously, those are big problems for the guy. But also, he hasn't looked the same, hasn't looked as confident, hasn't looked as decisive in himself or his teammates. And he really hasn't been able to stick that ball in there like he has been. And he doesn't feel free to throw or run. He just kind of feels trapped there.
So, okay, let's spin the hot cake then. You answer, what would you do if you were Scott Frost, and what do you think Scott Frost will do? Okay. All right, let's answer both. Go. Fire away.
If Adrian Martinez is less than 75%, I think as a coach, I will put in Vedral just automatically. Okay. But if they're both, Adrian's like 90 and Vedral's 100, I know if Scott Frost is going to start Adrian.
What would you do?
What would I do?
If Adrian was 90,
I don't know. It's this whole mental thing, right? Like, if you start Vedral, does this hurt Adrian's mentality, his toughness? Does this hurt or help the team? Those are really big questions that I can't answer and can't possibly know as a coach.
True.
So that's the biggest thing. There's a lot of factors. If this doesn't hurt Adrian's mentality, and you really think that you can open up the playbook more, you can get a little bit more creative with Vedral. And maybe he's not as flashy, but maybe he's a little more consistent, a little less likely to turn the ball over. And you feel like he's really stepped up on wanting to have this shot, then maybe you give it to Vedral. I don't know. Adrian there's so much pressure. Again, I saw this with Taylor Martinez. It's just that pressure of Heisman expectations, the whole state of Nebraska on your shoulders. I feel like he's got too much in his head, and I feel like seeing Vedral be able to be successful for a long period of time could return Adrian Martinez later to be more free.
That's the thought. Like, does seeing Vedral succeed relieve Martinez? Like, whew, all right,
we don't have to do everything.
Me. I don't have to do everything.
Yes.
Or does it put the pressure on him? Like, I need to play great, or else I'm gonna get benched. And then he starts forcing things, and he makes more mistakes. That's where the debate is, and neither of us really know. If I was Scott Frost, if Martinez is more than, I would say, 70% healthy, I'm going to play him. I mean, hopefully, ideally, he's 100% healthy, and that's not even a conversation.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if Martinez says, I'm good to go, then I play Martinez. If he's iffy on that, then I would probably have to play with Vedral, allow Martinez to get 100% healthy, and, play a conservative game plan with Vedral, see what he can do, and then maybe open it up as the game goes along. But, yeah,
Here's a big question.
It's a tough decision. Here's
a question for you. Do you think our offense is better, worse, or equal if we put in Vedral right now? Do you think it matters if we switch?
It doesn't feel like it would matter a ton right now.
I mean, that's the weird thing.
Which is, it sucks. It pisses me off.
I know. I just wanted him to be great.
I love Martinez. I love the guy. I want him to be the best quarterback we've ever seen in Nebraska. I want him to be so good because I really like him. I like him as a leader. He says all the right things. He answers every question perfectly. He has so much patience for the media and all their stupid questions.
He does.
But, man, he just hasn't been playing great. And I hope there's a reason why. I hope there's a really good reason why. And maybe it's the offensive line. And maybe Vedral comes out there and he plays just as bad as Martinez.
Again, we saw it last week. I mean, Vedral came out high snaps. Yeah. He wasn't prepared for it. The O-line broke down. He had to learn how to adapt to that too. Clearly, that is a big percentage of why our quarterback play is down. And Greg Austin said in the first week, we're 100% the reason why Adrian Martinez isn't playing well. If that's really the case, then the offensive line has to figure its stuff out. Again, we see that it's bad. That's the biggest thing. If our offensive line is 50% better than it was, I think Martinez, maybe he still has a little bit of a slump, but he looks so much better than he has this year.
Yeah.
Even still. And maybe that slump doesn't even happen because he's confident. Right. He doesn't feel confident to step up in the pocket and throw.
No, yeah. I mean, we're going to keep saying it. Every prediction video we say it. Our offense is young, man. It's just hard to say what's going to happen with this offense without Martinez, especially without J.D. Spielman, without Maurice Washington. I mean, if Maurice and J.D. can't go, I'm going to be pretty nervous about this game. I'm already pretty nervous about this game. Yeah, we saw it in the second half. I mean, Maurice is so explosive when he's healthy, but then at the same time, J.D., it seems like we can't throw the ball downfield unless JD's there.
I can't believe our tight ends aren't getting downfield. Like, we're not throwing to them more than 10 yards maybe.
Yeah.
Which is surprising. I really agree that somebody on the wide receiver end needs to step up. Like, tight end, wide receiver, somebody's got to step up. At the same time, Martinez hasn't thrown those short throws great either. It's a combination of so many things. Our offense.
It is.
I can't believe our offense looks this bad. I am thoroughly flabbergasted this year.
Every game we say the same thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
I can't believe it.
How? No, I can't either.
I can't believe it's not butter.
Again, going into the season, we thought our defense was going to allow like 40 points a game, and our offense was going to put up like 45. Yep. And we were going to be in great shape and freaking frying the Big Ten with our offensive prowess, and our defense is going to get
Adrian
burned.
Martinez
the
was
exact
just
opposite.
torching kids.
So with that said, I think we're going to move into predictions. I guess I'll start us off first. This is going to be a weird game, and I see it going two ways. Let's just start with like the first option is we're on the road against a respectable Big Ten team. And
respectable, I don't know.
In the history right now in Scott Frost's tenure, when we play on the road against respectable Big Ten teams,
one win.
There's been one guarantee, and it's turnovers. Again, that has only been Adrian Martinez at this point, so we don't know what it would be if Vedral's there, and maybe Scott Frost calls a really conservative game to make that less, to lower those odds. But like on the other end, if the offensive line still continue to see some improvement, same time, Minnesota's defense isn't nearly as good. Their front seven's not nearly as good as what Northwestern's was. So maybe we have more success in that aspect, and the game looks more like the Illinois game, and our offense really starts getting a roll for it. But the issue is we had 4 turnovers in that game. Even if our offense is rolling, are we gonna be able to manage the ball? I don't know. I'm not sure. I do believe in Dicaprio Bootle. I do believe in Lamar Jackson. In the Ohio State game, the problem was we couldn't get pressure. Justin Fields had all day to throw that ball, and so eventually guys got open. That might be the difference in this game, though. I think our defensive line, our front seven, is going to be able to get pressure on Minnesota as a whole, and that's when the single coverage and the good secondary becomes a big-time problem for Tanner Morgan when he's under pressure early. That just wasn't the case for Justin Fields in the Ohio State game, and that 100% could be the difference in this game as well. Maybe we just have a ton of pressure, and he makes some big-time mistakes, which is 100% possible. Hey, with all that said, I'm going to take more of the slugfest style game where both teams are trading turnovers, both teams are struggling offensively, and our defense steps up big, maybe even a defensive touchdown, which might be the difference in this game. I'm going to take us 21-17 in a slugfest with Minnesota. It could be a tight one, but just like every Big Ten win under Scott Frost has been, and that's what I'm going with.
On the road terrifies me.
Yeah.
For sure. We're bad. We're historically bad. Scott Frost has been bad. We have one win, and that's against Illinois, so that's not really much to hang your hat on. The program's young, but still. Turnovers is going to be nervous. There's going to be at least one. You feel it. You know what's going to happen. They're going to capitalize on it. And how's our special teams going to do? It's been bad. And
yeah, I didn't even talk about special teams.
And we're going to loan Minnesota yards that we shouldn't ever give away.
Oh, you mean like every week?
Yeah, like every week, and penalties. That's another big thing that we do. We're undisciplined. It's going to take a more disciplined team. But remember that last year we were 0-6 and dropped 53 points on these chumps.
Yes.
Just remember that. This was Scott Frost's first win. And remember, Mike Riley could beat Minnesota. And so
yeah, let's take that narrative.
I don't know. It's a game where, again, I see us being able to score a lot of points. This defense isn't anything wow. Have some offensive talent a little bit. I think Tanner Morgan is not a great quarterback, but I think that they do have a great coaching scheme.
Do you trust our linebackers?
No, but yeah, exactly. I know we're going to get burned at some point. I think our defense has become better, but I'm still worried on those play action passes. Obviously, they're going to be talking all week in practice. Can that be enough? And the quarterback situation, our health. Obviously, as you go into Big Ten play, football is always a game of attrition. So this is always going to be a thing. J.D. Spielman gets hurt every year. It happens at this point. But, man, I want to pick us to win big. But
Same. Minnesota
is overrated. They're 5-0, but barely.
Oh, they're so bad.
They are terrible. They are not a good team. I thought they'd come out of non-conference and then get stomped by everybody they faced. Talent at some point just flexes the wind, and that was what happened against Northwestern. We saw it last week with Wan'Dale Robinson. He's like, I'm just flat out better than the whole Northwestern team, and that's just how it goes. And so I think that's what's going to happen here. I think Nebraska wins 28-24. The quarterback situation and all on the road.
Oh man,
PJ Fleck and his voodoo. I still think we win this game.
The
I think
voodoo,
it's gonna
man.
It's gonna be. You're gonna have a heart attack though. You will have a heart attack. That is a guarantee. I'm sorry. This is what Nebraska football is until we get an offensive line. Who do you think is gonna start this week? I need your prediction on that too.
Vedral. I think
Vedral gets the nod. You know, I'm gonna say Martinez starts. So
really?
Yeah.
Frost has doubled down on his belief in Adrian Martinez.
But he does
week
love
after
Vedral.
week.
He does love him.
Oh, I know he does. And Vedral proved that he can be competent and he can at least do well. If Frost is ever going to have like an excuse to bench his guy Martinez, it'd be this week. And maybe
I'm as curious as everybody else. I want to know.
Again, I want to see Martinez out there, but I think Martinez might be a little bit more hurt than he's leading on.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely could be. And again, Scott Frost said he thinks Vedral's a good quarterback that can win a lot of games for this program. So that's some high praise again. Yeah. What do you guys have to think? Who is getting the start? Who do you want to see as quarterback?
Who cares what we have to say? You know, drop all your comments down below.
Yes, exactly. That's way more important than us. Josh is a loser.
Yeah.
Josh and I
I'm a loser. What do I have to say?
Just
drop
keep
your
we're
opinions down
genius,
below.
big brain geniuses over here. We know all.
Yes.
No. We are all knowing.
Holier than thou.
We love to hear what you guys have to say. Who's going to start this week? Will Nebraska get the win? Of course they'll get the win, Caleb. You're so stupid. Minnesota's trash. You are right, Husker fans, Husker Nation, and we will bring back that broken chair. That is guaranteed. I want the broken chair, Josh. I need it. I need the bits of broken chair. Like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. We love talking to you guys. And as always, I'm Caleb. That's Josh. This has been Backseat Sports, and we'll see you next video.
See ya.